Hi guys, and welcome back to Neil Pwa. I'm Neil, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host Thomas, as always. And we thought that seeing as we're putting Neil Pwa Pod a little on the back burner because there's so much going on, what we do is a little more of a maybe weekly, maybe 2 weekly. We'll figure it out. A news roundup of sorts of what's been going on. We have decided to name this United by Newsic.
I think you should make that a little bit like put the emphasis on music.
United by Newsic. I'm probably going to find a graphic to put up.
Just like put it there.
So, stupid name for a stupid segment, but who cares? That's what this podcast is all about. So let's get into it. But before we do, actually, remember you can go to neilpwa.com and you can check out all of the reactions that we've been posting. We've been busy. We have been giving you one reaction a day at least. And considering we live in 2 different countries and have completely different schedules, that is quite amazing. So thank you for all the love and comments. It means a lot. Like, subscribe, and keep checking them out. We love you guys. So first up, probably the biggest news. Are you waiting to see if it? And I don't think it does anything.
It should do something. Or I knew there was something. Yeah, sorry.
You're just struggling with like because there's the millennial one, and then there's like the Gen Z one. I think it's that or something, isn't it? That's the Gen Z one. I don't know. Anyway, the biggest news we really got this week was on Monday or Tuesday. It came out of nowhere because on Saturday, the auditions for the Moldovan National Final, I'm not even going to try and say the name, happened. They were broadcast live. We didn't watch because we tend to wait for the actual final.
And I was working.
And you were working. It's a Saturday.
Watch anyway.
The acts that were going through to the final were confirmed. And then on Tuesday, all of a sudden, Moldova withdrawn. So there's a few statements going around in regards to it being due to a poor artistic display. There's also some wording around financial challenges and stuff like that, which isn't massively a surprise. We've then also heard that one of the fan favourites, Batcho and Carnival Brain, who had the song Cinema, have approached TRM because they've been offered sponsorship to actually go to Eurovision, but we've not heard anything else since that. So what do we think is going on? Do we think Moldova need a rethink? Should TRM send back Joe? What's going on? What do we think?
I said this the other day. I don't really understand why, because the whole thing about the artistic, like the quality of the songs and the artists and stuff like that, I'm like, surely Moldova is a large enough country that surely there's enough talent that would want to do Eurovision if you let them. I suppose you just have to know where to look. And also Moldova's had a couple of really good results in recent years. You know, obviously with Trenet Lul, I always don't know how to pronounce that band's name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously that one did really well. But you know, they've had really good results. So I'm sort of like, I don't really understand that reasoning as if that's the reason why you're no longer competing. Is the quality of the songs maybe a bit less than it usually is? Possibly, depending on who you ask, maybe. But that's never really been a reason for any country to withdraw. So I'm definitely thinking that might just be an excuse for, you know, covering up the financial issues. We all know it is no secret that Moldova doesn't have a lot of means when it comes to competing. You know, they have I think they have the lowest fee that they have to pay.
I think so, yes.
Of all European countries. So that's saying something, obviously. But what I don't really get is why they go through all this trouble of finding all of these songs that they then say are not good enough. But you go through the trouble of finding all of these songs, doing these auditions, even if it's very minimal, even, you know, it's not an actual national final that they held. It was a very minimal thing. But even that has to cost money. So then it's like, why wouldn't you just save that money, let people send songs in, have your team of the broadcaster listen to the songs, and just pick the best one, and then just do it more like an internal selection. Like, you don't have to put in the money for a national final if you don't want to, or even last year's national final wasn't really much of a national final as well, was it? It was kind of, we watched a couple of or at least I watched a couple of those performances. We obviously reacted to the winner. So it's like, I'm not saying they would have saved a massive shitload of money, but at least that would have been money that they could have spent elsewhere. So in that, I don't really. This is just one of those weird choices that broadcasters sometimes make. We've talked about Eurosong and these showcases and how we're not a fan of that.
Yeah.
But this is like, if you don't have the funds, then just choose an act internally. And yeah, it's still going to cost money. But then all of a sudden you see these people or I don't know if it's companies or something that say, oh, we want to invest some money into this. We want to fund one of the artists.
Why aren't they looking into that beforehand?
Yeah, exactly. And also, why haven't we heard anything from it? Like, surely that can't be a hard decision. They're offering to pay for it. I'm not saying it's the most groundbreaking song in the lineup. I'm not saying if this act goes to Eurovision that they're going to win Eurovision or even qualify, but at least you have an act, at least you're there. They're offering to pay for it. Why wouldn't you? Maybe there's other things going on.
Especially when you've got fine, like you're going to have to pay to the EBU for dropping out so late. I don't know what's going to go on. We will keep an eye on that. And if we hear anything else, we will bring you news. But that one was a shock because we had heard potentially on the Monday that they may cancel the national final and internally select. We hadn't heard anything about the possibility of withdrawal. So that one really came as a shock. In other withdrawal news, we go back to UMK. We've obviously done our reaction to all of the 7 songs that were announced, but has now been confirmed by YLE that One Morning Left have been disqualified.
Yes.
There was a statement from the band regarding accusations made against one member. The rest of the band immediately left the band, so apparently the band just doesn't exist anymore. It's getting liquidated. So clearly, this is probably the right decision based on the accusations. But it was quite a shock at this stage, I think, wasn't it? To get to this point of the UMK process and have these accusations and this disqualification must have been a bit of a scramble. Like, what do we do? Yeah.
And also, this is UMK we're talking about. This is one of the most, if we're talking budget, UMK is obviously, it's got loads of budget. Finland obviously has loads of budget to host this massive national final. Okay, it's only 7 songs, but still, they have the funds to find these really good songs. And these were just genuinely 7 really, really strong entries that could all easily qualify to the grand final of the Eurovision Song Contest. So for it to happen there makes it even more shocking in a way. Even though that doesn't really make any sense, but what I mean.
This is where you think the more due diligence has happened and looking into all this sorts of things, because apparently it is quite historic. It's maybe from about 10, 12 years ago, from what I read, but it still doesn't take away from what the accusations are. We clearly stand with all victims and condone this sort of behaviour. But it was another bit of shocking news, and it came on the same day as the Moldova withdrawal. So we basically had the Moldova withdrawal in the morning, and then we had this disqualification in the evening, and we were just like, "What a minute!"
Yeah, I almost thought like this. Surely someone's just like someone just thinks this is April Fool's or something. Someone's like 2 months ahead of us, and they're like, "Ooh, April Fool." I was like half expecting someone to say, "Oh no, we're just joking," because it just felt like it was wild to have both those things happening in one day. And do you know what? One Morning Left were obviously a fan favorite and were definitely one of the 2 biggest contenders in UMK to win the whole thing. So it's wild. I'm still quite shocked I still can't really believe it. But I'm trying to remember if these rumors actually only came on that day, and were we all just shocked by it? Because I think I remember reading about something.
I think there was something
like beforehand
in the days before.
Yeah, I remember reading some things that there were accusations against one of the members, and people were sort of like debating, is this true? Is this not true? What's going on? So I wasn't 100% shocked when I saw that they were disqualified, because that just immediately I went back to a couple of days ago. Oh, I did read something about this, but it still came as a pretty big shock anyway, just to have one of those main acts dropping out. And now you have only 6 acts in the final. I don't know, probably UMK have already like organized a whole load of shit, and they probably have a whole show planned. So now they're going to have to rearrange things. They're going to have to change things. I thought for a second, like, are they going to get a 7th act now, or are they just going to keep the 6 that they have? It's all.
Let's get a Carrier Benjamin collab together. I would pay to see that. Something. But no, so we have had a little bit of a tumultuous week.
Yeah.
But in amongst that, we've had the normal Eurovision news during National Final series. So one of the main things this week has been the Irish Eurosong. They have revealed the 6 acts taking place on Eurosong during the Late Late Show next month. So we've got Bobby Arlo, Railta, Ajay, who I feel a little bit sorry for, because I believe he released his song on the same day that everything went down with Moldova and UMK, and no one was talking about his song at that point. It was just a shame. Samantha Mumba, who, if you're from the UK or Ireland, you will know as a big name. I've said to Thomas, Samantha Mumba, and he's like, ah! So
never heard of her.
Emmy, who participated in Norway's MGP in 2021, and Niall, which I believe is pronounced Niall. I look at it and I see, and not Neil. He's got Niall points, not Neil Poit. Sorry, that was stupid. But we've also had all the songs released for Norway, Ukraine, and Portugal, as well as those Irish songs. Let us know if there's any you specifically want us to react to. I think that we should listen to all the Eurosong ones and all the MGP ones. I think we should do a series on them, but I'm not sure. There's a lot.
I haven't listened to MGP, and I've got to be honest with you, I've seen loads of negative reactions. So I don't know if it's really worth doing an entire series on MGP. Maybe we should do Eurosong. We didn't do Eurosong last year. So maybe we should just do Eurosong, because I've heard a lot of positive comments. I haven't heard any of the songs yet, except for about a minute of Bobby Arlo's song, which I really liked. So, and it does seem like Ireland has really stepped up their game, which is fantastic to see, because obviously we know that Ireland's been struggling for many years. And last year, it felt like they had a bit of a reset with Bambi Thug, who obviously did an amazing job and came up with what I think is probably the best staging package that we've ever seen on the Eurovision Song Contest. Like, it just still blows my mind. So the creative director of that, I don't know who it was, I don't remember the name, but the creative director of that staging deserves a massive, massive raise, because that was insane. So it's great to see that Ireland is sort of like at least trying to ride on that success. They still have to make the right decision, of course, you know.
Well,
we'll have to see what happens.
What songs they've got and who they choose in due course, of course. Again, just to reiterate, let us know if there's any songs in particular that you would like us to react to. Thomas has been going through as many of the songs as he can, trying to find the best and the worst and in between all the rest of it, which I think you've seen a really good collection this week as well so far. But let us know and we'll give you a shout out if you want. Next, we've had some proper Eurovision news. The hosts have been announced. So Hazel Brugger and Sandra Studer will host the semi-finals and will be joined by Michelle Hunziker for the grand final on Saturday, the 17th of May. We've also had more information about Arena Plus. So they're going to take over for the final only, they're going to take over the football stadium next to the arena. Up to 36,000 fans will pile in to watch the final live and be entertained by the likes of Baby Lasagna. There's also Gigi Antoine and Anna Rossellini performing as well, or Rossinelli, rather. I can't read.
It sounded right for me the first time as well.
Yeah. 36,000 fans. Can you imagine? Have you seen the pictures of what the stage looks like here? It's basically an empty field and then this giant cube.
Yeah.
Each side of the cube being a screen to show the show.
Yeah.
And then the top of it's a stage.
That is insane.
And it's like, okay. Or at least I think the top of it's a stage.
Do you know what the funny thing about this is? Is that obviously there was a bit of drama in Switzerland about whether or not they should spend so much money on the Eurovision Song Contest, and they actually even had a vote on.
Yeah, they had a referendum.
Was it like the government that had a vote, like, or a referendum, like, do we spend this money? So it's funny that not only did those people lose that vote, but now they're also thrown this massive football stadium in their face, and the Swiss broadcasters like, fuck you guys, we're piling up 36,000 people in this massive football stadium to watch the concert. Like, surely that costs money as well.
Yeah, of course it.
But I'm assuming you're going to have to buy tickets to get in, so there's
tickets and there's some sponsors and all the rest of it.
Maybe we shouldn't go to Manchester. Maybe we should go to that arena.
Babes, I don't think either of us have the money for a flight to Switzerland. Unless
we can walk, we can hike.
I live on an island.
You could swim. If you would have jumped off a building today, the wind could have blown you all the way to the mainland.
Yes, it was a fun day in Scotland and Ireland, as we just mentioned. Severe winds, hurricane gales, craziness. But yeah, it probably could have taken me all the way to Switzerland. Actually,
that would have been a cheap. That would have been a cheap flight.
We've also just had news that Nemo's tour that was supposed to be happening from sort of March, April, has been postponed to give them more time to work on their album, which they want to make perfect for spreading during their concerts and dancing and interacting with fans, which makes sense. It's slightly disappointing because I was going and I've already bought train tickets, but at the end of the day, I want this good music. I want music, and if they need time to reset, they need time to reset.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I mean, I feel like I get that some fans would be disappointed by that, but at the same time, you do, as an artist, want to give your fans the best show that you can possibly give them. And I feel like, obviously, as a fan, you want to get the best show possible as well. You want to get, a certain worth for your money. So, in that sense, I get it. But like, I understand that it's disappointing. But it's not. They're not saying we're canceling it altogether. They're just moving it to November.
It's not the end of the world. And you know what?
Yeah.
Those train tickets I got were super cheap, so it's all good. And it's fine.
You can still make a trip out of it and do something else. And I'm sure that November, that's the end of the year. Like, you have more than enough time to book some time off in November to make sure that you get that. So
So take a look at Nemo's Instagram. All the new dates are there. Final thing from me is that it's currently 7:26 in the UK on Friday the 24th of January, and we're getting lots of different reports that we could hear about the UK's entry very soon. One of the UK's most popular shows is The Traitors, that is finishing tonight. There has been Eurovision references made on it. There is also speculation that Scott Mills will be announcing it because he is starting as the new host of the Radio 2 breakfast show on the BBC, and obviously is big on Eurovision for the BBC. He's on the Graham Norton show tonight. He's also on the One show. We don't know what's going on, but there's lots of rumours flying around. I've seen Franz Ferdinand, Tom Walker, Travis, which I don't believe is going to happen. But we've seen all sorts of names. We won't know for sure until we know, but we will let you know as soon as we do. But keep an eye out. We could be getting something very soon.
You see, I've never heard of any of these names.
So I've heard of Tom Walker. I've actually seen Tom Walker live, and he is actually incredible. I saw him support one of my favourite bands in Glasgow back in 2016, and he's got an amazing voice. But I'm not sure how that would translate to Eurovision. But again, it depends on the song, depends on the stage and package, all the rest of it. But having a good voice and being able to sing live is one good thing to start off with.
Yeah,
it's a good starting point to have sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially after what happened last year, when people got really excited about Ollie Alexander, and then the live performance really let down a lot of fans, I think. So, and that just goes to show that even though if it's a big name, it's not a guarantee for success at the Eurovision Song Contest. Okay. You see, do you know the funny thing about that is I was thinking about Eurosong the other day, obviously the Belgian Eurosong, and how we discussed the showcases and why they do that and stuff like that. And I was very apprehensive about Eurosong coming back because I sort of felt like VRT has this tendency to be like, oh, it worked for us 27 years ago, so maybe we should try that again. They're very and they had a bit of luck with Gustav, and that everything worked out perfect, and we got that top 10. And I was really scared that they were just gonna try and do a copy paste of what they did. And then I thought yesterday, the only good thing about having Eurosong, especially for Belgium, is that at least with a national selection and a live show, you know what you can expect at Eurovision. You know whether someone's going to be a good performer or not. Like with Gustav, even though that we weren't a big fan of the song at the very start, you knew from that staging that was great, that there was a great vocal there. There was a staging concept there that could be elevated. With Musti last year, sadly, fantastic song, but then the live performance completely let it down. So at least in that sense. So and then I was thinking maybe the UK should put that energy of trying to find a really good act. Maybe they should put that into a small national selection, not like a big one with like a massive amount of competitors, but if you just have like 4 or 5 songs.
Ooh, you are describing Eurovision You Decide, which normally
Skype is agreeing with me. No, I'm not saying they should do it. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying they should do You Decide, because obviously that didn't work. But obviously now they're trying to take it.
That's what it was. It was only 4 or 5 artists. It wasn't like a huge thing.
Yeah, but they weren't putting in the effort in finding the songs. Obviously now, since Sam Ryder, they've sort of had a reset, and they've sort of realized, okay, if we do send quality songs and if actually put the effort in, then at least we can get a decent result, or at least not make complete fools out of ourselves. So, but with Ollie Alexander, you just have no idea what to expect. At least when you do have a national selection, you can sort of know what to expect. You can sort of see with a certain staging package, does this work or does this not work?
Yeah.
Instead of it being a surprise on the night itself. So I don't know. It's just a thought.
Okay. Is there anything that you have heard that I've not got? Anything in your notes?
The only thing that I still had written down is the fact that one of the hosts, I think Sandra Studer, I think, was apparently a Swiss representative.
Yes.
8 years ago, in 1991.
In the Allura year.
Yeah, and she represented Switzerland under a different stage name, Sandra Simo or something. And she actually came 5th, so she did really well with the song Canzone per te. So I thought that was worth mentioning as well, that we get a former contestant as a host.
And obviously, as she competed in 1991, she has seen a perfect example of how to host the Eurovision Song Contest as well. And I'm sure has taken lessons from Toto too. Yeah, and I believe I've heard Hazel Brugger, I believe, is a comedian. And one of our friends, Annie, said, wait till you hear their stuff. Like, they're hilarious. So that's got me excited
something to look forward to.
Yeah, Eurovision is coming up quick.
Are we getting a mascot again? Is it? I read something about that as well. We getting a mascot?
Oh yes, they're inviting local children to design a mascot. And I think it's going to be the first one that is actually like dressed up, like created. I don't know. They said the first ever, and I'm like, you're forgetting quite a few different animated mascots, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we had Peppa Pig in Liverpool.
I don't know if that classes as a mascot, but she did start a conga line. So
yeah, that was hilarious.
But let's leave it there. That was the first edition of United by Newsic. And I'm still laughing at how stupid that is. Came up with that this morning all by myself. And so stupid. Keep up to date at neilpoir.com. We have muddled around with some of the links, so you can find them all there. You can get easy access to the playlists you want, whether that be the national finals or the actual Eurovision songs. We'll have Luxembourg coming up soon because they choose on Saturday.
Yeah, that'll probably be out there by the time you're watching this, because that's tomorrow. You know, it's Friday today, and I think it's tomorrow, right?
Yeah. So keep an eye out, neilpoir.com. Follow us, like, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on all of the news that is going on in your Eurovision world, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.